This is part 2 of our interview with Dr. Jessica Small of VIMS, and we're actually, I'm going to quick do a panoramic.
Yeah.
We are in the algae lab. This is where they, the algae that gets bred and maintained and fed to the oysters. Please, if you would, Jessica, your program has had tremendous success in developing disease-resistant oysters called polytriploids.
Almost.
Or close, okay.
Very close. So disease resistance is very important as well as survival for the industry. Polyploid technology has become integral to the aquaculture industry in the state of Virginia. So the big question, I'm sure, to the viewers is, what is a polyploid? And specifically, if you've been in the industry for a little while, you might have heard the term triploid. Well, you and I are diploid, meaning we have 2 sets of chromosomes, one from your mom and one from your dad. Through some technology that the director of this lab has developed, we've been able to create tetraploid oysters, so oysters with 4 sets of chromosomes. Now, when you cross a diploid oyster with one that has 4 sets of chromosomes, you get one with 3 sets of chromosomes. Well, why is that important? Inherently, triploid oysters are sterile. Now, what does that mean? Well, all of the energy that they normally would put into reproduction, oysters then put into growth. So triploid oysters grow very quickly. Similarly, because they are sterile, there's certain times of year here in the bay that diploid oysters normally would be spawning, and their meats wouldn't be something you would normally want to eat. It's not very appealing, I should say. But because triploids don't spawn, the industry then has a product that they can market all year round. So not only are we interested in breeding for disease resistance, our diploids, but we also are continually breeding and modifying the tetraploid oysters that we distribute to industry as well.
Absolutely. And here, this algae, tell me about the importance of algae to everything you do.
Right. So the two most important things to having a successful hatchery is good, clean water and lots of healthy algae. We have a full-time algalogist here on staff, and this is in essence the kitchen. So at ABC, we grow 4 main species of algae. They're different sizes, and they also have different chemical compositions.
But they're all natural. You say chemical, but that's all natural chemical.
Right, yeah, these are all photosynthetic organisms. They're in essence very small plants. You notice how light it is in here? Mm-hmm. Just like plants, these algae need light and carbon dioxide to grow. So what's bubbling in here is not only air, but there's also carbon dioxide in here. So each of these tanks behind me have many millions and millions of cells. This tank here, for example, might have up to 7 to 10 million cells per milliliter of algae in it. Now if you think a milliliter is about a few tears, so there's a lot of little tiny plants in here. This is the food that we feed all of the larvae out in the main floor. We modify their diet depending on how little they are. For example, babies only eat very small things and very few things when they first are born. But as they grow older, they diversify their diets. If you think when we're little, we might just eat Cheerios, but when we're older, we eat hamburgers and pizza and all sorts of things. So we up their diet in variety as they get older as well. So the entire time that our larvae are inside the confines of these walls, we are feeding them until we put them out in the water, and then at that point, they eat any algae and other items that are in the water that flow over them. As you remember, oysters are filter feeders, so they are constantly removing particles from their environment as food.
Sure, it cleans the bay, it helps them grow,
exactly.
And it makes a wonderful commercial product.
Right.
Jessica, about how many companies do you all work with here in Virginia to help me? The aquaculture industry is just booming, which is wonderful. About how many companies do you work with here, and how do you work with them?
Right, so we distribute adult oysters or broodstock oysters to all the hatcheries in the state of Virginia. I would say generally there's about 6 to 8 big hatcheries that we give oysters to. We also give oysters to some hatcheries in Maryland as well as in North Carolina. They get from us different lines of oysters that we have available. Some of our lines are bred for doing well in low salinity environments. Some are bred for doing well in high salinity environments. So depending on the growers that the hatcheries are selling seed or eyed larvae to, they get from us specific combinations of adult oysters that will work well for them. So we have a very close relationship with industry. We meet with industry members at least twice a year to discuss any problems or issues that they have, and our research is often guided towards what the needs of the industry are here.
That's tremendous. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up part 2, and we're going to hear next in part 3 about the future.